Hello and welcome to the Tarka Zone. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to be playing the game Frozen Flame, and we're going to be talking about some items. I'm going to call this housekeeping, meaning that these are things that could improve your life within this game, and these are just some thoughts around that. And I think the main focus of this video is going to be around the armor and weapons building aspect of the game. And let's just get into this. I've got this is I think this is the what they call the blacksmith table. Yeah, blacksmith table. I got it coming up there. And when you go into the blacksmith table, you'll see all the nice little things the game has to offer you when it comes to improving the gear that you wear in the game. But the biggest issue with this is and I don't understand how the developers did not see this, or why the developers would make a game where you have to freaking guess what the stats are going to be. I can understand if this is an a really grindy, like Black Desert Online was like this. You could build the armor and you never knew what you were going to get, but you knew what the base stats were going to be. So you knew baseline stats were going to be whatever it was going to be. And then depending on some sort of magical RNG formula in that game, you could get better stats if the RNG gods loved you. But in this game, what kind of sense does it make to not tell you what you're going to get for stats and what the damn bloody items are going to give you? I mean, it's just ridiculous that they don't give you this data. So when it came to building my gear, because what it is you could go to the tanning rack, and not the tanning rack. What one is it? It's this one here. You can go to the stone workbench and see that you've got options for the what they're calling masterly leather gloves. It tells you what you need for that. But they don't tell you what the bloody stats are. Same thing with the bone. No stats. I mean, even the damn weapons, no stats. So what? Basically, you got to go and grind your ass off to get items to build these things, just to unlock the fact that the damn thing is less value than what you were using. Or you would think that this armor here, this leather armor, would give you stats that you would love, like critical hits and whatnot, but they're not telling you. So I didn't bother to build any of the leather crap. I went right to the metal stuff. This is what I ended up building. And if you're asking yourself, what do these items, give you? Well, I got them on me, and it was only until after I made them that it tells you what the bloody stats are. And this is a huge housekeeping thing. I mean, I guess the question, I guess what I'm thinking is this is amateur hour. I mean, to have a video game where you craft the item before understanding what the stats are is just ridiculous, considering the fact that there's no RNG part of it. So it's basically regardless of how many times I, let's get it back on there. Let's say, regardless of how many times I make this metal armor, the stats are always the same. So there's no RNG that says, oh, well, you did awesome with this attempt, and we're going to give you a little bit better outcome. But no, I mean, I can make this thing over and over again. It's going to be the same stats. So why is it a bloody freaking mystery, developers? I don't get it. I don't understand why you did it this way. And so you have to okay, and I had one person that made this ring armor. Or not the ring armor, sorry. They made the leather armor. And come to find out that they were just wasting their time because they had enough materials to make the metal component. Because they thought, and I imagine it's also a weight thing. I imagine the leather armor weighs less, but they don't tell you what the weight is either. So it's like, oh my goodness, it's like, let's just guesstimate what kind of crap I'm going to get when I make this stuff. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. So that's my housekeeping rant, I guess. And my preference would be that, look, when I go to build something, I like to know what the base stats are going to be. Tell me what. No, just don't tell me what I'm going to get. I mean, if I right click on here, it'd be nice if you could right click on these things, and that's where it would give you what the stats are of the item. So the left click tells you this is what you need to build it. The right click should tell you what the item values are going to be before you build it. All right. So the other housekeeping pet peeve I've got is the ridiculousness around how much time it takes to make these bloody bricks. It's ridiculous. I mean, I don't know. I mean, this time around, I have played this game 100% kind of solo, meaning that everything that I've attained in the game, I did it myself. I didn't ask for anything. So I have been slowly building this castle myself, and I'm running 3 forges, and I'm spending 90% of my game time just running around picking up rocks to shove into these things, then to log off and come back 4 hours later so I have enough materials to build 3 walls. That's kind of a ridiculous setup. And I imagine if you built it in a way, if the developer was thinking, well, we wanted to make the castle building a team effort, but still, even if you have 5 guys helping you collect the stones, we still are sitting around with our thumbs up our asses waiting for them to cook in the furnace. And that's just the reality of it. And that is a housekeeping thing that needs to be fixed. And the iron's the same way. It's like that's just ridiculous to wait as long as you need to wait to. Let me see if okay. So I've got iron and I've got this. I mean, let's just look to see how long that takes per iron. So that's 8 minutes. That's 8 minutes per. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess if they want to make that grindy and they don't want everybody just to jump in the metal armor, but that is that's a lot of time to wait for 1 ignite. I mean, that's ridiculous, especially when you, like, my sword is halfway almost kaput. So look at this. So look at the repair rates on these things. This is the third housekeeping issue that I have is, you want me to cook 8 ignites to repair this thing. It's like, okay, so it's a full-time job collecting iron, and then it's going to be a full-time job just keeping my weapon repaired, and that's 8 times 8. So that's 8 minutes it's going to take you per, and you need 8 of them. And so I guess if you had 8 forges set up, and you put 1 in each forge, then 8 minutes later you'll have everything you need to repair your weapon. But come on, what is the real thinking behind that? And the other thing is the bloody cost of the damn forge. I mean, to have 8 forges out to do this efficiently, you're going to need solid essence, you're going to need coal, and you're going to need stone. So I guess I have plenty of solid essence, but remember, you got to go get the solid essences too. So not only do you got to go get the bricks, not only got to go get if you want to make bricks, you got to go get the stone. If you want to make iron ignites, you got to go get the iron. And in addition to making the iron ignites, you have to have the solid essences. So you have to go farm the solid essences, and then only then can you make your ignites. I mean, that seems like a lot of work to ask a person to do when they're just trying to come home from work and play a video game for a few hours. It's like you gotta take time off from work just to play a video game, because a full-time job just keeping your stuff alive. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. So those are the primary things that I'm thinking right now. There's a few other things that could be addressed better in the game. The other thing is you have to also get coal, and that's not too hard to get. They got coal nodes in this game. So I seem to, I've been farming the coal nodes, every time I see one, and I know where most of them are. And granted, the thing burns slow, and you if you know where those nodes are, you can get, coal in the thing. But again, they should have another avenue to get coal. The way they used to do it before is if I burnt something in these stoves, I would eventually get coal. Now, if they want to be really conservative about it, then have the coal only come out of the stove once an hour. I mean, at least that's an option to get the coal, and you're not locking people. Because right now, the big turnoff from my group of friends is they basically level zone lock the coal. So if basically what we did is we had one person unlock, went through the campaign, unlocked the Dragon Grove area, and then that person put a teleporter in there, and then everybody just jumped to the teleporter and then went and got the coal they needed. So if their concept is they wanted you to force you to do the content before you had access to the coal, well, that makes no bloody sense, because you only need one team player to meet that threshold. So if that's why they put the coal in Dragon Grove, was to level content lock it, meaning that they were expecting you to get a few levels, they were expecting you to beat Titan, and only after beating Titan, then you would have access to the coal. And if you're playing a single player game, that's how that would work for you. You would need to beat Titan before you would have access to the coal. And maybe that was what they were thinking, but it makes no sense to me to do it that way, because if you're playing a multiplayer game, I only had to have my friend do the dirty work, put a teleporter down, and boom, Tarkus has access to coal, and then I have to go mine it. And I'm thinking to myself, well, you should allow people who don't want to do the campaign access to the coal, because there's many people like myself that play this game that do not play it for the campaign. They play it for the social aspects, they play it from the building aspect, and they just want access to whatever you need to build. I mean, that's the thing. And to get in the build, like say you want to just build a castle. Let's say that's your whole vision, is you want to join this game and you want to build a castle. Well, that's not really hard to do if you've got coal, a furnace, and go around and get rocks all day long. That's easy peasy. But the thing about it is to level lock, content lock your coal for players doesn't make any sense for the person who just wants to join your server to build a castle. So you're hurting your player base by how you've done the coal. And I know I've beaten this dead horse over and over again, but this is a big housekeeping item for me, because when people come to your game and they're thinking they're coming to a PvP survival game, and granted that's not coming out till a few months from now, but they're still coming into a game thinking that's what they get, they should not feel like there's items that are outside their reach. Now granted, if they want to do the metal stuff, or make they need the ignites. Let's go to my ignite box. I think I put my ignite box over here. Yeah, here it is. So if you wanted to get access to ignites, then you definitely would have to get to Dragon Grove, or you'd have to have somebody go out there and mine those nodes for you. But outside of that, the really thing is, if you just want to build a castle and just plug away at that, then not being able to get access to the coal kind of hinders that. And I know some people could say, oh, you could change server settings for free build if that's what you want, but that's not what people want. People still want to play the game around the developer's vision, but I think adding coal, allowing people to get coal, early on is a good change, I think. And even if they want to be stingy about it, then they could just make it so that the stove kicks it out once an hour. At least people can get one coal and then start their castle building dreams. I mean, that's the way I think about it. And maybe Tarkus is just being snippy, or saying something bad about a game that most people may not think are bad things. But I think these little housekeeping items that I've talked about here could improve the game. I think I really do, and especially, especially telling people what their gear is going to give them before you make it. I mean, come on. I mean, that seems like an easy thing to do. The other housekeeping thing, and this is going to be my last item for this video is the lightning storms, the random lightning storms in Dragon Grove are still killing my people. We reduced the death cost. I think the the durability reduction from death is set at 25 stock. So I changed it to 5 because my guys were just getting killed constantly in Dragon Grove from these random lightning strikes that made no sense, and the day looked as clear as could be, and they just are falling to their death all the time. So when you're asking people to spend 8 ignites to repair an item, and your game mechanic is killing them over and over again for no reason at all, then they're running around naked because they can't afford to repair their stuff. I had to take action and reduce that 25 to a 5. I said, look, 5 is fair. Try not to die as much. And they're like, Tarkus, this is ridiculous. I'm just trying to jump from one island to another in Dragon Grove. There's no barriers, and I'm getting hit by lightning, and it's just making no sense to them. So we made that change server side so that when you die from that, it wasn't going to hurt you as bad. But it's like, yeah, it seems silly to me that you requiring in some cases with one item that I've got, you're requiring me to get 7 mithril ignites to repair this thing, and to repair it, and I'm dying randomly from a game mechanic that angered quite a few people that don't play on my server anymore. They're like, this is ridiculous. I am just trying to play the game. The game mechanics are killing me willy-nilly, and then they want me to spend 4 days farming mithril to repair the stuff that was destroyed because their game mechanic was willy-nilly just knocking me out of the sky. And that really is it for my griping here, or my housekeeping video. I think if they can address some of these things that I've mentioned here, I think the game would come off a little better. I think the people you've lost are never coming back. I mean, I've talked to so many. I mean, I have the ability to reach out to people. I'm very friendly and ask them, why'd you leave? Why don't you play anymore? Because you used to play every day on my server. And they would give me reasons. And the reasons that I mentioned in this video are primary why I did this video. Is these are solid reasons to not want to play the game any longer, because it's not enjoyable to guesstimate what you're going to make next, to not have access to coal when you just want to build a castle or just want to have fun that way, and to get knocked out of the damn sky willy-nilly just made no sense to some players. And they even went as far as uninstalling. I was like, well, the game will get better. And they're like, how do you get better from this? I mean, because the devs are making a game like this. We've got years and years and years and years of playing MMOs and playing games similar to this. And you would think that when you're developing a game, you would know the game audience, you would know the games they like to play. You would hope you had gone into those games to see what worked in those games so that you could bring it to the game that you're developing. In this case, I had one person says, well, are these developers like 15 years old? Have they never played an MMO? Have they never played a game? Because that's what frightens them, is just the choices they've made up to now with some of this housekeeping stuff have said to people are these people, are they on planet Earth? Have they ever played any type of game like this? Or they ever played a survival game like Ark or Rust or Oasis or Rend? Or, I'm just using those as an example. And the thing is, they just turned some people off, and they felt that same thing with me. When someone asks me to read an author or a book, I can read the first 3 chapters and know if I like their style of writing. And if I don't like their style of writing, or if the topic in the book is not to my liking, I put the book down and never open it again. And that's basically what we've got here. Is you're writing a story, you're writing a book here, and you've missing some major key items to keep people's attention. I mean, that's, I guess, the way I wanted to say it is you've got to. I'm not saying that build your video game where you have to please everybody, but there are some small little changes that you can make to really help people move through your game and feel like you understand what these type of games should be delivering. Now, if you're, and I've said it again in a couple videos, is if your whole plan is just to anger people so that they uninstall your game, well, then you're on the right track here. You really are, because I've got at least, I would say my list is over 25 people that I've contacted through Discord who used to play this game, who have moved on and have told me for sure that they've uninstalled it and will never come back to this game, regardless of what it becomes in the future. Only because they were just not happy with the foundation, where what they have created today just screamed to them amateur hour. And, this is not Tarkus's opinion. Tarkus's opinion is, it is what it is. Hopefully it gets better. Tarkus will work around whatever's here. But what hurts me, or hurts my game enjoyment, is people that I like to play with who refuse to play this game now. And that's where my frustration is, and even strangers that have joined my server, and they've joined my Discord, they played on my server a couple days, they just bought the game, and I contact them, and I was like, oh, I see you built a house, how's the game experience going? And their only response is, I've uninstalled the game. And I'm like, okay, I get it. So hopefully this video doesn't offend too many people, and hopefully you get what I'm trying to lay out for you here. So I want to thank you for joining my housekeeping video, and have some fun gaming. Thank you for joining me. This has been the Tarkus Zone.